Good morning, everyone. This is Reverend Mary Frances Drake. I'm coming to you from Grace Chapel here in Plymouth, New Hampshire. And this is Grace Talk number 3, The Inner Meaning of Lent. I just finished my Lenten service this morning, so I have my stole on, and I thought I would put the, the altar behind me in today's Grace Talk because I want everyone to be thinking about Lent in a gentler way than historically it may have been thought about. So as a Christian mystic, Lent is a time of contemplation, a time of self-reflection, and to think about it in the way that the world does, a time of sacrifice or hardship or giving something up, tends to make it feel like something that is punishing or put upon us because we're not we're not worthy or we're not good enough or some strange thing. Lent is the season that precedes Easter and the spring. And so I would like to have you contemplate Lent in a different way, in an inner way. As we're finishing up with winter here in New Hampshire, we still have snow on the ground, it's still a little bit gray. It's still a time of self-reflection, of contemplation. So if we're thinking about Lent and coming through this last part of the winter season and moving toward spring, toward new life, toward Easter, we can be thinking about these 40 days as a way to emulate the spiritual development of and the spiritual practice of Jesus as teacher, as the one who sacrificed and laid down his life for all of us. And to look at what that means for us personally, that these 40 days can be a time of clearing out. I think about it like spring cleaning. There are some things when you're cleaning that you want to let go of, you want to get rid of. They're not useful to you anymore. They become burdensome. So just like spring cleaning on an inner level, it's a good time to contemplate, what have I been doing that is not life enhancing to me? What habits do I have that are not helpful and useful to me and to my mission in the world, how I want to be in the world? Without the sting of self-criticism and judgment, without the sting of unworthiness, we can just look at our days and our weeks and say, in this last year, what have I been doing that doesn't serve me, or that doesn't serve the people I love, that doesn't serve the goodness of life? So that's one thing we can do, is to reflect on what should we stop in this 40 days. 40 days is an interesting period of time. It's a time when you can create a new habit. About 6 weeks of doing something or not doing something can create a new habit in your being. So if we think about what do we want to stop doing and what do we want to start doing, if we think about ourselves and what things will enhance our life, enhance our well-being, enhance the life and the love that we give to others. So again, those 40 days are a good time to say, I'm going to do this every day. Maybe I'm going to do my yoga practice. Maybe I'm going to pray. Maybe I'm going to walk. Maybe I'm going to eat better, add something to my diet that will be life enhancing. And then finally, what can I give? So all religious traditions, all mystical traditions have a component of service. So what during these 40 days can I do that will be of service to others or to the earth? Maybe you want to plant a tree each day. Maybe you want to greet your neighbor. Bring someone some food, set up something in these 40 days that you're doing regularly that is an act of service. Even an act of kindness can be an act of service. Making an effort to greet your coworkers when you go into your office, or bring a little something to someone. And it's not the gift so much as the thoughtfulness, as the spirit, as what comes from your heart. If we remember that we're beings of light, we're beings of energy, then our job really is to clear out the gunk, do the spring cleaning, shine ourselves up, and let that light, that love shine into the world. Let that light and love bring compassion, bring understanding, bring connectivity, which our world is sorely in need of. We have to do the things inside of ourselves that make us ready to be in connection with other people who are like us and people who are not like us. So this is it's a special time that we can take a little bit of time to contemplate these things. In my tradition, we don't use ashes for the Ash Wednesday service. We use oil that's been blessed. And the oil is the substance of the Spirit. So when we put the oil on the forehead of a recipient and give them a blessing, we're blessing them with the Spirit and blessing them with light so that they might go forth and do the things that they're here to do. And similar to the life of Jesus, do the things that are sometimes hard, sometimes challenging, and some integrity, and do them over and over again until they become part of our being. And it's true that whatever we do over and over again becomes part of our being. So if that's praying or giving or meditating, whatever it is. So I'm hoping that we can look at this season as a season of concentrated effort in growth rather than as a season of sacrifice. Of course, we are sacrificing. If we're giving up something that we enjoy, but that we know is maybe not good for us or is distracting us, then we are sacrificing that on behalf of this light and this love that we carry in our being, and we're sacrificing it on behalf of the people that we love. So if you have a habit that is not useful to you or your family or your work life or life in general, maybe you have a quick temper, maybe you worry too much, maybe you don't remember things that are happening with people, maybe all kinds of things could be happening that you say, I want to work on that. I want to stop doing those things and start doing something different. And if we stop berating ourselves for having those qualities that are less than ideal, let's say, then we can just get about the business of saying, I choose to be loving or peaceful or healthy or kind. And then the effort, the sacrifice comes in using your time, your attention, your focus to create those things over and over again. Not like a scoreboard, not counting how often do I do it, how successful am I, but counting the good feeling that happens when you say, I've chosen to be more patient or more healthy or more kind, and I'm doing it. And I'm doing it over and over again for the sake of life, my family's life, my friends' life, my community's life, our country's life, the life of the world. Our consciousness and the energy that we put out goes into the huge pot of the mind of the world, and each one of us is responsible for what that looks like. And the more people do that consciously and with love and desire for goodness to come into the world, the more we can be a part of the solution, the more we can carry that with us and give people space to receive it, give people space to expect it even. Expect respect from other people, expect kindness. That would become the norm in ourselves and in our community and in our world. And wouldn't that be lovely to have a world where everybody's done their work and cleaned out the stuff that's not useful to life? So as a Christian mystic, I look to this time as the time that represents what Jesus sacrificed, which of course was his whole life. That's what he came to do. He went into the desert for 40 days and sacrificed the flesh. And that, people have used that against Christians for a long time to say, well, we can't fast for 40 days. That's not the point. The point is, can you hold something in mind and heart and develop it over that amount of time? And to overcome the temptation of the flesh means overcoming habits that aren't good for us, things that are not helpful to us, things that make us shine less. And then to focus on, as Jesus did with the temptations in the desert, focus on what's true about life, what's true about God, what's true about love. Love begets love. Kindness is important, compassion is important, forgiveness is important. So how do we do that consistently and consciously? And if you can think about that, consistency and consciousness is building up energy, building up a change that culminates in this time of rebirth, this resurrection of Easter. So you come out the other end of these 40 days a different person. Why? Because you've stop doing something that's depleting you and you focus on doing something that's raising you up, and then you're giving, which is radiating that goodness out, how can that not change you and everybody around you? And these don't have to be huge changes, because once we get aligned in our heart with the beauty of those things that we know we want to be and do, our heart becomes encouraged and starts to overflow with that goodness. When we take off the cloak of shame, we take off the cloak of berating ourselves, then we have a fountain, which is our natural state, a fountain of love and light that can go wherever we are, that can go to whoever we're with. And over time, that habit of focusing on letting that come out and shine becomes our natural state again. We get restored to the innocence of being a being of light, filling ourselves with light, with love and peace, and all good things that support life. And then we become like the sun, something that other people receive and grow from and blossom from, are encouraged by. So it's a beautiful time to prepare ourselves and to work on ourselves to move in that direction. It doesn't have to be a somber time, although it is a little bit serious in the sense that we're starting something and we're dedicating ourselves to doing it for a certain amount of time. It doesn't have to be a time that you're in sackcloth and ashes all the time. That's the ashes were to represent the sacrifice, which is important to remember. But it's also important to remember that when we sacrifice something for the sake of love, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice. It feels like a blessing. It feels like dedication and integrity. It feels good. And this is the season where we can focus on that over and over and over again. So I encourage you to use this time, these 40 days between now and Easter, to spend a little time each day looking at yourself, encouraging yourself. Maybe you and your friends saying, what am I going to stop? What am I going to start? What am I going to give? One of the things that Jesus talked about is fasting and not showing people what you're doing. So there is some merit spiritually and socially in doing things without other people knowing. So you can speak to people about what you're doing to let them know, but not in a way that is making it seem like you're a martyr and sacrificing so much, but in a way that's saying, I'm going to take this on. I'm going to look at myself and see what I can start doing more of that will be enhancing to my life and to other people's lives. I'm going to start doing some service. Maybe you can invite people along with you. You don't have to tell them it's your Lenten practice. You can just say, I want to do this thing. You want to come do it with me? So it doesn't have to be so much a religious effort or religious dogma. It's just a good way of living, right? It's a good way of living. And every tradition has some holiday in the spring, which is representing rebirth. So if we are transforming ourselves during these 40 days, then we have the opportunity to have a victorious rebirth at Easter that says, I've changed for the better and I'm happy with that. I've served, I've loved, I've focused on what's good in life and in me, and I've let that grow and blossom, just like what the spring represents, the plants popping out of the ground. So the underground work is the work of reflecting, of contemplating, maybe praying, working on letting something go, taking something on, and giving something out. So I send you blessings on this Ash Wednesday, blessings that your heart will reveal to you in a moment of quiet, the thing that would be good for you to stop, the thing that would be good for you to start, and the way that you can serve. Serving anyone can be serving your family more lovingly, or your neighborhood, serving your country in some way. And I'm happy to talk to you about those things if you want to run them by me. You know how to reach me from this constant contact, and from my website, which is maryfrancesdrake.com. So I send you blessings for this Ash Wednesday, and I send you my heartfelt support in your own reflection and contemplation, and how this Lenten season will bring the good fruit of Easter to you. Blessings to you.